So how to do justice to this remarkable 2 days and not hold up a wedding, which would be counter to the principle that life leads to more life. That would be the outcome. Trying to sum it up as succinctly as possible. So how many of you were at Woodstock? He had tickets. I bought tickets for somebody else who didn't go. Did anybody actually go to Woodstock?
I've gone back to the West Coast. I dropped out.
Yeah, okay, above it all. So I was hoping somebody at least raise their hands and then I could say, well, now, were you really at Woodstock? Because many more people would claim to have been there than actually were. So look around, look to your left, look to your right. See if you can memorize the faces of the people who are in this room, because I think we're really having a Woodstock moment. And many thousand people, 20 years from now, are going to look back, going to look back, and they're going to say, yes, I know I was in Austin. I remember hearing that, and that's where it all came together. But I have that sense that this is a very memorable 2 days, not just because a year from now we're going to have a terrific book that does justice to all of the fantastic work that's already gone into this by our speakers. So also honoring I want to get some sympathy for the ink-stained wretches who are engaged in editing this book, and I'll use my own woes as an example. Carting books around over the last days and weeks, I've actually torn the rotator cuff in my right shoulder. So if you see me squirming in my seat, it's because it's actually very painful. And then on Thursday, when I got here, George handed me a stack of manuscripts of our hardworking authors, and I got a really wicked paper cut. So I think some of us are really, we're sacrificing for this, and it will come out in product, I'm sure. So what I wanted to do was say something elegant in the way of a typology of everything that we've heard, at least today, if not for the 2 days, and perhaps reductionist, and talk about the deductive part and the inductive part and so forth. But again, honoring this notion of ecology as metaphor, as well as science, the messiness of ecology, I think to some extent carries over to the messiness of what we've been hearing, and to do justice to it, to be fair, there really isn't a simple kind of sequence here that I can put these papers into. I was going to suggest that some are very much about defining the field and really about intellectual history and theory and others, and perhaps the aspiration of the field, but others which are very much about projects and about specific experience also define the field. And so I'm just going to try to very loosely group them in twos, actually. I kind of put Danilo and Charles's papers in a group. And I'll say a couple of words just to kind of tag them each in a minute. And then I thought Chris and Jim's papers kind of fell in a middle group, which maybe was kind of a break point between that sort of overarching field definition and letting projects kind of speak for what the field is about. And then Kate and Laurie, I thought very much were more about the projects doing the talking, and I'll say something about that as well. So Danilo, with his disquisition on utopia and no place, I think in a sense also took us to the other utopia, which Lewis Mumford spelled EU-topia, the good place. And I think that is one of the aspirations that is shared by all of us who have been laboring here these 2 days and longer. Charles gave us I think a very interesting side trip into the world of new urban zombies. And I'm very much looking forward to his formal presentation on that, which I'm sure we'll see. And it may be just a time to put in a little plug, because everybody knows that zombies are really where it's at right now. We have actually just released a very serious policy focus report, the Lincoln Institute, on zombie subdivisions. And these are those not quite dead projects, mostly in the Intermountain West, that came out of the last building boom, but didn't quite get built, but haven't quite died. And what to do about them. So zombies are really possibly should be the subject of their own symposium at another time. But then I think perhaps having more longevity will be the aspect of Charles's talk that really make a very good claim on landscape as being an urban category. And I think that's just one of the fundamental ideas that comes out of his presentation. Chris, in telling us about projection and representation, but of course also giving us something of a genealogy of the thinkers who've led us here and the work that has gone into this, also makes a case for the creative act of model making. And I think this idea of models in every sense of the world is something that has kind of permeated our conversations over the last 2 days. Jim, with his affinities with surrealism, which I find really very resonant, I think takes method as the kind of centerpiece of his major argument and his explanation of his work, and a method that combines the rational with the poetic, and the systematic with this idea of wilding and bewilderment, and a word I don't think he used but has come up, wilderness, and what that means in terms of nature and cities. And I think there is something, the grid and the bewilderment of the world that we don't control. I think there's something incredibly profound there. Kate, with her place-based, very much project-based learning, collaboration, I think describes an approach and method that is obviously bearing fruit, but it's something we're going to all learn from, and incrementalism in the sense of how things grow. And then Laurie, with his incredible experience and an absolutely knockout presentation for me, takes a little-known chemical substance called water and uses it as not just a metaphor, but really as a sort of a motive force for an understanding of what I think we're all talking about when it comes to cities and nature and cities, the nature of cities. And we're going to struggle with how to talk about this in a way that doesn't seem terribly reductionist and dichotomizing and so forth. But, I was made to think when he started talking about the earliest civilizations that used water, this concept of a hydraulic civilization. And, maybe expanding on that, we're talking about something like an ecological civilization that is understanding water and these other forces and processes and using them to inform the way that we live. But there was also such tremendous generosity in his presentation in terms of not just giving credit to others, but to being so happy at others doing the work and taking ideas forward and building. Buildings as landscape and building landscape together. So I think we've had a consistently and amazingly high level of thoughtfulness that has gone into all of this work. We ended on an extremely high note, I thought. Thank you, Lord. And I'm just tremendously inspired. I don't want to say another word that will detract from the quality, let's say the average tone of the last 2 days. So thank you very much.